Welcome back to ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app. My name is Dave Vincent, alongside Martin Mulkerns here for this match round of 8 that we have with Dave Fink going up against last year's winner, Luis Cordova. This is going to be, I think, one that's going to be filled full of fireworks.
I think so. I didn't see Luis play much yesterday, but Dave's game, he seemed to be impressive against Leo Canales. I didn't ever see Dave hit as much reverse serves like that. It just seemed to catch him a lot, so it'll be interesting to see if he goes with that again today.
And I think it's also interesting that Luis Cordova is the hometown favorite here, so he's certainly going to be the one that the crowd is going to be cheering for. Dave seems to have this sort of knack of being the one that the fans don't cheer for. They kind of cheer against, and they try to get him riled up because he is so fiery. Let's see how the 42-year-old Dave Fink fares as he returns to serve against Luis Cordova. Best 2 out of 3 to 15. Breaker, also 15.
Chance here.
Big setup for Luis Cordova. This is his home courts. It was, at least, for the last couple years, and then he moved to El Paso, Texas, just about 3 months ago.
Yeah, I was talking to him yesterday, just having a bit of lunch over at the hotel. He said he's kind of over and back between El Paso and Juarez, I think, would work, and he has a few guys, definitely 3 or 4 guys he was saying he can play there. I think Leo Canales is there as well, and a few local players, which is probably more than he had here. He's probably just playing Daniel all the time.
Right. I think it's good for him to go there, but I don't think it helps his brother Daniel here in Atlanta at all.
Yeah, probably not. It's better to get those games, but sometimes when you're playing the same player all the time in training, then you go play someone else, and it's like, you know, you've read that person. You just know exactly what they're going to do. You know where they're going to serve. You just know their body language. So I don't know what Daniel's doing for games since that move.
Try it out.
Would I be right in saying Luis has won the last 3 matchups with in this?
Probably so, but these guys have always had this sort of back and forth thing. Dave probably dominated early. Luis is a tough player to play.
Like his brother, he's quite the get artist.
Luis is currently ranked number 3 in the world in the professional rankings.
Both players off balance with a lot of shots, just palming them up. You really have no time in there. That's just what I picked up over the weekend.
Yeah.
And well, at all the tournaments, especially with this ball, it's just moving so fast.
Second serve.
You're actually hitting a lot of shots off balance and on the move.
You have to have just the, Killian Carroll's footwork to make it so you're not so off balance. But, you're a tall guy, and both of these guys are about 6 feet tall. So you have to be off balance. You can't adjust your feet fast enough. This ball's very fast. Concrete courts.
That's the big risk, the roof shot.
Incredible shot.
Great finish. Last 2 rallies, Dave over here on the right-hand side, and the last rally just didn't get his feet set. And again here, on the previous shot for that setup was just a scoop. Another chance here.
Luis didn't do himself any favors there.
Luis actually had wins with a passing shot, but actually had 2 clear-cut chances off the back wall to finish.
Two serves, 1. Point.
Looks like Dave might have caught his finger on that one. I think Luis might have put a bit of natural on the serve, spun into the left wall.
3 serves, 1. Point.
Yeah, Dave's going out. He definitely caught that left hand off that wall. He's looking at his finger there.
It's frustrating too because this is handball. And when you tip the end of your finger, or if you snap it back, it affects your whole tournament.
I think it's one of those where you, if I were to guess, it's like when you look at it and your nail has just gone black, or sometimes you get a little bubble of a blister of blood nearly on the top of it, and every shot you hit then is sore. So it'll be interesting to see if that has any bearing on it. Luis seems to have no hesitation just to serve straight down to the Dave's strong left hand. And there's one down to the right.
Right up.
Nicely finished.
One, four.
Not to say that it'll happen here, but Dave yesterday scored some points very fast, and he's another one of these guys that's thinking all offense all the time.
Short.
But would it be fair to say, Dave, that's the kind of mentality with, especially with this ball, you know, we've had this conversation before, but with an Irish ball at home, or I would say to a less, I wouldn't say to a lesser degree, but definitely with the 21 ball, you know, there's probably a lot more defense in it, whereas I probably found to my detriment yesterday that going up there, even though in theory it might seem like the right shot,
5-2.
you know, to play the roof and put him out of the center and put him back the court and, you know, try regain control, but it ends up with that ball, like you're going to see right here, coming straight off the back wall.
No, I
So you have to
agree
be,
with you.
have to
you
be
have
on
to
the
be
offense.
aggressive, but even if we're in Ireland,
Skip.
Dave Fink would be aggressive.
Wide.
He's just an aggressive player. Doesn't matter what ball he plays with, and that ball definitely skipped. And I don't know why it would even be replayed.
I think the referee should just replay. I'm not sure if it either skipped or it just hit the front wall and seemed to come up. There is, as you, I think you saw Killian yesterday. There is some grooves in that front wall.
5-2.
So I think it's just play over. You thought it skipped in?
Second serve.
Well, there is that little strange groove. You can see the little white line. That's actually curved. So if the ball hits it, it could pop up. Luis knows this better than anybody.
Point.
Dave's still shaking his left hand
6-2.
here. That's his weapon. He is a lefty from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, now living in Tucson, Arizona.
Point.
No, he's not setting his feet here. There's definitely been at least 3 or
7-2.
4 errors now just with. And I think a bit of credit has to go to Luis for that too, just keeping him off balance.
Dave does a little half shovel. A little kind of a weak return that slides down that left wall. There's a screen serve, no call.
Right up.
He's definitely shaking that left.
And that was just on with him hitting the ball, right? It wasn't hitting the wall.
7-2.
When he hurt his hand?
I think it was a natural serve from Luis, checked into the left wall, and Dave was stretching. I think he might have just caught his hand off the wall in reaction to it.
8-2.
Oh, that's a point. That was just over the line. No appeal at all from Dave.
9-2.
Thought possibly would be the time for one of those 2 remaining timeouts.
Right out.
That's a nice shot there from the lefty, using his opposite hand.
2-9.
Oh, that ball
That's
checked.
strange. It seemed to change direction.
A lot of power right there from Dave. That ball blew past Luis.
3-9. Side out.
Again, feet seem to be facing the front wall. It's just coming so fast, straight at the feet.
9-3.
Not set up correctly.
Point. 10-3.
10 serving 3. It just feels like one of those games so far where nothing, even that one there, nothing seems to be going right. You know, the rub of the green, you need them to just roll out.
Well, it's interesting that there was a screen there in the middle of that rally. The referee just totally blew past it. and nobody argues.
Short.
I think it's because
Second
Luis,
serve.
even though he was screened, he liked Dave being out of position.
I'm not going to open that can of worms again where I say it's the right call by the referee, but that Luis should be allowed to hit it, and if he misses, just come back. But it's never going to happen. Just,
Right out.
Just
well, he did it. I think he did what you say he should do. Just don't call it, and if he misses, just pull it back.
Yeah.
10-3.
Unwritten stuff.
I do believe the horse is dead, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
Start out. $3-10.
Backhand from Luis.
$10-3.
Do you see any way back in this game for
Forward.
Fink?
Well, you know as I do with him, he's
Second serve.
he's so streaky that it takes being down 10-3 for him to find that fire. So yeah, I do see a way back, because it seems to be sort of what he's done for the last 20 years. That's a beautiful shot. Very aggressive. He can score 3 points here in 45 seconds. I mean, that's the type of player he is.
Well, I think he needs them.
And if he gets it,
Short.
then
He's appealing, but it was a
He's
clear
appealing to
shot
serve.
in my opinion.
I think he's doing that to stall for time.
Both agree. Second serve.
Davis really improved his serve. Maybe not on that second serve, but his,
In general.
yeah, he's spinning the ball a lot more than he ever has. And that,
It's a side out.
Must have hit him or something, did it?
First timeout.
no,
1 minute.
he didn't want,
He
that was
didn't
going to be a
wanna
big
give the
setup for Luis, and he didn't want him to have practice, so he just took the ball out of the air. Let's go to Kara, who's right near the show court here, Kara.
Yeah, we caught up with Luis before these quarterfinals. It was interesting what he had to say about Fink, whether or not he was looking forward to this match, but also whether or not having the title here in Atlanta, having this be his home court, whether or not that was going to be an advantage this year.
I don't know. I never really look forward to playing Dave Fink. You know, he always plays hard. It's never easy with him. So looking forward to it, not really. You know, but I got to get past him. You know, to get to win it. So play anybody. When I was playing today, I couldn't see the back wall. And I remember the back wall being tough on me, even when I used to play here. So now I was like, holy crap, I can't see it. So I really need to adjust to it. So. Not really. I don't feel comfortable like I used to. It was already a year ago, you know. I won it here, but then I lost the next tournament, and then you know. So it's kind of, I don't know. I don't feel like it. Maybe winning the last tournament would do more than winning here last year, you know.
So I'm going to toss it back to a question with Martin Malcurrens, because I know he's with you there. Are there those players that you don't look forward to playing, and does that make you play better, or is that harder to have the energy to jump in there?
Well, I don't know who. They all seem to be playing well against me these days, so I can't pick out anyone in particular.
But there's certainly guys that you go up against that you just say, gosh, I wish I wasn't playing him in this round. Like a Sean Lenning, for example.
Yeah, well, Sean definitely is one of those, probably of anyone here, the most unpredictable. You just really don't know what is going to happen.
Right.
You know, this time last year I played him in that first round. Yeah, that was disappointing for me, but I think it definitely didn't help having not played with that ball for 2 years. I didn't know what to expect, where I felt this year, having played here this time last year, played in Salt Lake City. I knew what to expect, although I'm disappointed with the result yesterday. I did feel like I played quite well in there. Yes, I would change a few things, but Vic just played better, you know. But absolutely, I suppose, playing Sean in the first round is, you just don't know what's going to happen, and if he hits form, it's hard to know what you can do.
But do you play harder when you know when you're going up against someone like Sean?
I don't think so. I go into all the, it's not really cliche stuff. You can't really do anything about what he's going to do. If, you know, yesterday, if Vic's going to hit crack serves, there's really not much. You can take timeouts. You can kind of maybe move up a bit into his eye line. But you can't really control whether he's going to hit that or not. You just have to try play the best shots you can when you get in yourself.
I mean, the ball. I thought the ball was going right to him, so I got to get out of the way.
Back at home, I suppose someone like Jermad Nash now for me would be over
Thank
the
you,
years,
guys.
we're nearly like what I was saying about Daniel and
6-10.
Luis.
10-6.
We've played so much growing up. He was in university in Galway, and he used to come out and play me from when I was 16 years of age. We were only saying it the last it's maybe 10 or 11 years playing each
Right.
other. And it got to a point where every game we'd play was like an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. I think we played
7-10.
at US National semi-final. It was 2.25 hours. They're not the kind of games you want in a tournament.
Right. That's a screen. And there's another point now, 8-10, just
First
like
time?
we were talking about earlier. The referee was
minute.
calling a screen earlier on that play that Dave hit in that front right corner. And Luis Cordova called it an avoidable on himself. I'm not sure it was an avoidable, but I do believe the referee made the call incorrectly. Let's go to Kara again, who's right near us somewhere around that show court. Kara?
Right by the show court that Dave Fink is on, and you know if Fink wasn't in there, he's often commentating and able to give us the history, the statistics. Well, he was able to give us about this one before the match. Here's how this one looks.
Lucho and I have very good matches historically. We started playing in 2011, and the series has become very close. I won the first 4 or 5, and he's won the last 3. So I think we've played 13 times. So he's a very, very challenging opponent for me and anyone because he's extremely intense, he's conditioned, and he can run down everything, and he's got great killer shots and a really good serve. I still feel like I didn't have the amount of preparation I would have liked coming into this tournament. A lot of guys weren't available in Tucson to play as much as I would have liked, so I feel like I'm short a couple of practice matches that I wish I had. But overall, I feel good. I feel like I've trained a lot in the last month and a half to get ready for this season, so I feel good, you know, coming into the match with Lucho.
And he's creeping up here in game 1, so we're going to toss it back to the match. Dave, back to you.
All right, thank you. I thought he got up to 8, but we're showing 7 here. We'll see what the ref
Right
has
out.
to say.
Good timeout by Luis. That's kind of what you want to do, isn't it? Just break the rhythm, get back in serving.
Right.
10-8, 10-9.
10-9.
Short.
2-point jump.
Second serve.
So that's a 6-0 run for Dave.
Point.
As Luis kills a nice one down in front of
11-9.
himself.
Short. Second serve.
What a pick. Oh,
Right out.
don't know if we can get a replay on that one. Flat
9-11.
kill from shoulder high. From that
Short.
close to the front wall is actually quite difficult.
Second serve. Ground ball.
Dave calling for a towel. I did think he had 1 or 2 opportunities there maybe to get an ace and be serving at 10-11.
Dave calling for a towel here. 42 years of age. And he is in excellent physical condition. So, though he started off in a little bit of a lull here, making this nice little comeback, a lot of that is a tribute to just how athletic he is and how he's put and prepared his body for these tournaments. He said he didn't quite prepare the way he wanted to
Okay.
by playing the
11-9.
sport, but he's in excellent shape.
He seems to be playing a lot of handball though, Dave. You know, I see some videos going up on
Right.
Facebook. They're playing 3-wall. I think there was a tournament in Vegas recently. You know, he's playing a lot of competitive handball where
12-9.
I don't know how much competitive handball Luis has played possibly since the Nationals. I wouldn't be familiar with what tournaments would be available July,
Second serve.
August, but Dave actually has quite a lot of, maybe not in 4-wall, but he has quite a bit of competitive handball played in the last, month. And that's, I think matches like that are worth, I can't put a number on it, but it's definitely worth more than 3 or 4 training sessions down at the club, you know.
Yeah, and he's a top tennis player, so he's playing tennis as well. And when I say top, he's one of the best players in all of Tucson, Arizona. It's a tennis town. So he's doing that all summer.
Yeah, When you're training like that out in that heat, you know, you're fit, and I think he seems to be very good when it comes to the diet and everything like that as well. Not sure if he's still a vegetarian, but
Nice shot, inside out.
Right out.
That's a tough shot right there to fight that one off.
9-12.
great serve.
Point.
Dave's been kind of making this sort of living off that right-handed shot of his. He's a lefty, but he's been going over the top of this ball. This is sort of an instant
10-12.
replay of a shot we saw earlier, or two.
Short.
Is it 10-12 score?
10-12 now. It seems to have an incredible ability to kill balls from
serve.
shoulder high. Here's
this
a
is-
great chance.
Fink took that way too lackadaisical up there. He should have just jammed Luis.
12-10.
It's always that big decision, isn't it?
Point.
I think if you were actually to look at the statistics on those, I'd say
13-10.
the player that's getting it misses it, loses the rally more often than not. They either
Point.
drive it into the floor, or they tap it and it stays up, or they'll do something and they'll lose.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 type deal. Dave
And
calling for a towel here. He had a great opportunity
To be serving at 11-12, and instead now it's 14-10.
And, you know, just really as quick as you could take off your hat, not saying that you have one, but all of a sudden,
Game point. Serves
Luis
10.
scores two quick ones, and now he's serving to take game number one, and he almost does it right there with a cracked serve miss. It's a short ball. Here comes second serve. And Luis is beaming with confidence right now.
I thought, put great shot there. I thought actually Dave had a chance to go right on the shot before that and win the rally. But again,
10-14.
the
Tough,
ball is
beautiful
traveling
shot.
so fast.
That's kind of a screen serve in a way.
Point.
Beautiful.
Took the weight off it.
Well, it's tough because when the ball hits the front wall, it shoots straight down. It has this spin that grabs the front
11-14.
wall. Now at 11-14 here. Dave's not going away. Dave really hasn't hit his own signature shot yet, which is that left hand to the left corner.
It's the kind of risk with hitting a kill shot from that height, that if it's not absolutely flat, it's going to bounce up because of the trajectory that you're hitting it from that high.
Right out.
Another hand error for Fink.
Another half second maybe on that
Game
shot to
point
let it
serves
drop to
11.
even waist high, knee high, or even lower. Luis would have had to wait.
Look at that shot. That's so hard to take from there.
But it was much better, I thought. You know, it was
He dropped
taken
it.
from, yeah.
Yeah.
And Luis had to wait.
Second.
He had to wait for Dave
Yeah,
to follow
to hit
through
it.
and hit
Yeah.
it, and so he had to stick back. Dave hits a perfect spot, and like you said, from that angle, the ball should pop up. So he has to go over the top of the ball severely to keep it straight, and that flattens the ball out.
Yes, sir.
Dave Fink will be serving here at 11-14 in game number one.
It's over after the foul.
At one point, he should have been serving 11-12, but he missed what looks like is an easy shot. But I think we've kind of determined now that no matter who is in the position of a ball going from the back wall all the way to the front, it seems to be just this crazy. I've seen some players seem like they play it perfectly every time. Killian
Coming
Carroll,
in.
for
Yeah.
one, just seems to play it always perfect. But then it's sort of 50-50 after that. 11-14.
Chance, no.
Thought that could have been called short.
Ooh.
Right up.
Luis played that quite well. He moved in just close enough. It wasn't, gave himself the best opportunity to get across, but definitely a chance there for Dave to.
30 second.
Dave making a lot of little hand errors here.
14-11.
I know he's not happy about that.
You know, he might lose this first game here, but even though he's still in it. But if you consider from 9-3, he's actually well in this match in terms of
Yeah.
you know, he's won from, if you look at it from 9-3, he's actually in the lead since then.
10 seconds. Ready?
Yeah, and it was at that time when you say, could he even make this?
Game
Could he
point
even make
serves
this a
11.
game? You know. And he clearly can. But let's say that Luis goes on and wins the match. He's going to feel this. I mean, this is physically draining. He goes on to win game number 1. Luis does, 15-11. But whoever is going to win this one is going to feel it, because if Dave is to win, it's going to go to a tiebreaker. Luis is going to have to fight here in game number 2, because you can see that Dave's not going to give up.
Well, the problem with that is it's what you'd expect at top level, but the problem with it is you're coming into Killian, who's going to be, who's going to probably make you play an extra shot or two in every single rally. You definitely don't want to be in here any longer than you have to be.
No doubt about that. Let's go to Kara Mack, who's not in here. She's over there. Kara.
That's right. I'm off the show, Cor, off the side. I love interviewing family because you kind of get to get the deep look into players. So I've got Rodney Fink with me. You're playing this weekend.
Yeah, I sure am. Yeah, I'm in the round robin of the 70 plus.
Love it. All right, you're gonna be right next here. We're gonna have to check you out. What are you best at?
Power, 2-wall serve. That's my specialty.
That's your specialty.
Yeah.
You even get Dave on those?
Never. If he hits it as easy as he can, I can never get a point on him.
At what age was he able to beat you?
That's in dispute. He says 14, I say 15, but I think at 15 was the first time he beat me.
15. At what point in his life did you realize he was a good athlete?
2 years old.
2 years old?
Yeah, we were playing racquetball at 2 and handball at 3. And football and baseball and basketball, we played them all.
Was he always just a really natural athlete?
Yeah, he tried to be a right-hander, but that didn't work for me, so I made him into a left-hander.
I like that.
That's a big advantage.
Big advantage. So was he a switch hitter ever as far as that goes in other sports?
You know, he plays golf right-handed, he bats left-handed, he throws left-handed, but he does a lot of things with his right hand as well, so golf particularly.
What was Fink like as a little kid?
Same as he is now.
So pretty competitive little kid.
Very competitive. I mean, no matter what we played, he hated to lose, and he was a bad loser. And but I'd say he's much more improved now.
Give me an example of a Dave tantrum at home.
Oh well, I would have ping pong tournaments, and bring friends and family over, and he would set up a draw. And if someone would score in ping pong on him, the paddles were broken. Scoring, not winning, scoring.
Full on broken, like he snapped them, or what did he do?
No, he'd just throw them and break them, and the tournament was over.
So what would you do?
I just hide. That's all I
We're
could
not
do.
judging your parenting right now. I'm just asking.
I would
how
just
this all
hide.
happened.
and my friends that were playing him would say, "What did I do? You know, you scored. That was the problem. You shouldn't score. This is what happens."
Was he always a healthy eater?
No, he went back and forth. He always has his idiosyncrasies. He thinks he has the answer for diet, but he now is eating a balanced diet, which is good.
So here's my question to you. Who does he get the ability to remember statistics, remember history, all of those facts that he just boils in his brain for so long?
That's unique to him. I don't know where he gets that.
Really?
He does have a phenomenal memory.
Yeah, does he call you out on, hey, Dad, back in 1982 you told me this?
Yeah, he does. He remembers everything.
I can see it. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, good. We have a big game coming up.
I
so.
know we do. So get your front seat right there. Get
Thanks,
ready for
Kara.
it. Thank you so much, Rodney. Yeah. Vincent, back to you.
Thank you, Kara. That's a pretty good interview right there. Rodney Fink, Dave Fink's father. I think we got your father on one of these live broadcasts one time, Martin, during, I think, the World Championships. Really nice.
Against Killian last year?
Yeah, it was nice listening to what the parents' perspectives are of the professional players. You get to find out a little bit more that you'll never hear from them, certainly. Dave Fink there has a fan base that follows him around when he goes to these tournaments.
It's nice to see it, though, isn't it? You know, family traveling
Second
together
game,
around,
David
you know.
serves.
It's,
0-0.
otherwise, you mightn't actually see them, you know.
Short.
Where Rodney's still playing and Dave's playing, and they get to watch each other play.
Serve.
Well, I can certainly relate to that discussion that Rodney had about
1-0.
Dave breaking the paddles in ping pong if they scored. He came over to my house when we were playing pool, and he went to break my pool stick. And I said, if you do, I'm going to break you in half. And then what he did as his response was he just booked a flight and flew out of town. So that was just because he lost a game of pool.
Second serve.
Very competitive, that Dave Fink.
Point.
And destructive.
So what happens if he loses here?
Together at 1.
You'll see. No, he seems like Dad said he's just much better now. I got him in the not so much better now years. There we go. This is what people came out to see. They thought they would see more of that from Dave.
Hey, camera seems to be
2-1.
not sure what he was saying to himself there, but
Trying to motivate himself because he knows he's not playing very well.
he's one of those players, I've seen this before, where he actually, you know, I'd often see players and you see when they start shouting like that, it's, you know, the game's over. But he's one of those guys that seems to sometimes play better when when you see that.
Well, he never gives up on the court. I mean, so he's playing hard all the time. And so whether he's mad or not mad, he seems it's the same.
That one there seemed like a ball that he would usually get. I don't know, as he...
Well, he has a bad back. He's strained his back the day before the tournament, so he's very frustrated and depressed this whole tournament because he knows that he's not 100%. He said he kind of felt like he stretched out yesterday during his match. He felt really good, and then this morning when he woke up, he bent wrong, and then it went right back into the place that it seems to go. Man, I wish I had a bad back. Make shots like that off balance, left hand, left to front kill.
2-3.
Gives him the serve again.
Looks short from here. I thought Luis stalled a bit. He's still stalling. He's going to, I would say, appeal here.
Well, I think he thought it was also a screen, if anything.
And
There's a lot of
was
screens
that
not
was
called.
as well.
But yeah, he will appeal if he doesn't win this.
Which he is probably going to win. There'll be no appeal now, as you said.
Well, Dave might appeal it.
His own serve, yeah.
He might.
Out. Sir.
Oh, that was good. From that angle.
Your eyes must be better than mine. I'd need a slow-mo.
Coming in, Luis.
I think that stall that you saw from Luis was because he was screened on that serve. That was pretty close to, you know, Dave standing in the middle of the court, and that ball was kind of a quarter over. Can we look at that again, Chris? Look at the positioning here.
Connect with that.
See where Dave, oh, no, it isn't a screen. Not from that angle, no way. See, I see it good.
Well, it's lucky now that Dave isn't appealing to the camera, because
Coming in.
We'd have a,
2-3.
we don't make that call.
There'd be no consensus.
The score is 3-2.
Yeah.
The referee makes the call when he sees it over.
He has to come down the stairs and come over here and make it, not us.
Point.
So
Good shot
but
there.
it's not like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that fourth lifeline where he can kind of ask you what you think.
Nope.
4-2.
Okay.
I would not be a lifeline of his, I don't think.
Long. Second serve. Right out. Call slide. saw a slide.
He might get this.
You didn't see it? I saw a crack. I'm not calling a slide.
I saw Dave throwing
Slide out.
his natural with a
2-4.
left, which made that ball slide down the wall. Great shot.
Point.
That's so tough to get a hold of because when that ball finally hits that side wall, it
3-4.
shoots toward the back wall, has a little extra zip to it. Another great shot there from Dave.
I think for anyone watching, it's probably
Okay, they're at 4.
something you wouldn't coach someone to do,
Short.
you know, to shoot from that high. I know you're saying Dave's aggressive. You probably would coach someone to let the ball drop as low as you can when you're
Right.
going for those kill shots. So it's actually technically very difficult to do what he's doing.
Well, I think it's his background in tennis. He has an open stance in tennis. You have to have one to play that way.
And he's used to
And
it.
so he uses that open stance and
Get it
goes
up
for
for
those
it.
shots.
Hold on.
Not sure what Dave is.
He didn't have time to get in the back. The referee's calling the score while he's
4-4.
walking back to the back wall.
Great play from Luis.
No.
Where Jason's going to run out of towels here.
Well,
This is something you don't see too often in Ireland.
it's because you guys don't sweat there.
I think you just line up, get ready for the next serve. If it skids, it skids.
That's what I say.
No, for sure, though, the courts are, maybe aside from one or two of the facilities, the courts are a lot warmer here.
Coming in.
A lot more
5-4.
sweat on the court.
Short. Second serve. Right out.
It's a good shot. Abraham Montijo back in Tucson, Arizona, bringing up that exact same thing, saying that Dave doesn't need to go for those kill shots because
4-5.
Luis is playing up front, so he can get points off of sliding pass shots, which is kind of what Dave has been doing here, although he's mixed it up with kill shots. Good camera angle there.
Luis did some great kills in the last 2 minutes. There's one with the right, flat kill maybe 2 minutes ago with the left. And pushing Dave around the court very
5-4.
well.
Watch this here. Elite. Right to front kill, perfectly placed.
Thank
And
you.
Luis calls 2 bounces on himself. You're watching this broadcast here on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app. It's the patron.com WPH Race for 8 Professional Handball Tour, season number 8 in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the first ESPN stop of the year. First pro stop for most of these elite players. And this is the quarterfinals. Earlier today, it was Killian Carroll getting over Emmett
Together in
Pichot,
5.
15-8, 15-7. That was like another screen type serve, not called by the ref, dug out there from Luis Cordova.
There's been 2 uncharacteristic misses there the last 2 rallies by Luis.
There's a towel. Sorry.
We can argue about whether it was a screen or not, but he definitely had the opportunity there to
He
win.
did. Dave gave him a
Coming in.
chance to bail himself out,
No,
and
point.
he didn't capitalize on it. Dave is so quick that he just went down to a knee immediately as Luis hit that. And that's really, I guess, the only approach you can have. You can try to stay on your feet if you want, but Dave slides down just at the instant Luis hit that ball. Luis could have gone down that left wall, decided to go out front and jam Dave, but Dave got his hand on it, ends up winning the rally on a terrible hand error from Cordova. Fink now serving. That dot next to Cordova's name means that Luis won game number 1.
6-5.
If you're looking at the scoreboard, brought to you by Tucson Rolling Shutters.
Second serve.
Chance here for Dave. incredible get.
Luis plays it perfectly.
I think he hasn't been getting enough credit maybe since we started talking here for the incredible gets he's been.
Well, yeah, he is a get artist.
I think we're just nearly unfairly expecting that from him.
Wow, good rally from these two guys. Every time Dave goes to the right corner with his right hand, Luis has dug out every single one of those shots. And they're effective with 90% of the population, or more. But when Dave's doing it with Luis, it's like Luis overplays these shots. Right here, Luis just seems to know. Like, Dave's been going down the right wall as pass shots, but he hits it right.
Oftentimes, oftentimes you'll win the rally with that shot, but I just think the play is just kill it in front of yourself straight.
Right down the wall.
Yeah.
And he's proved that he can do that in this match because he's had 3 or 4 of those.
But there it is, left and right.
Yeah, that time it worked. Well, he knew he had Luis back that time.
6-5.
Good serve. Luis leaning to the left. He overplays to the right to make up for the missed time that he got out of the box, and then it clips the side wall. And it was still high enough that you could get that, but you can't change your feet that quick.
Just coming back to something I mentioned earlier, like from 9-3, Luis was up. For anyone joining us, Luis was 9-3 up in the first game. Dave brought it back to, I think, maybe 10-12. Finished up 15-12 or something like that. But in that, he seemed to have carried that momentum into this game. He was finishing stronger in the first. And although Luis is with him here, Dave seems to have got into the game.
Yeah, and he's been executing some pretty good shots, but it's still close because Luis has been executing as well. A little bit of contact should be unavoidable, but it won't be called because refs don't ever seem to do that.
Is it avoidable, that particular one, you think?
My instinct says yes. I can see why you would not say it as a referee, but you should not hit a ball and the other guy who just hit the ball turns around and hits you. That to me is inexcusable. That was totally avoidable. You can avoid that. Luis spun around and ran into Dave. Yeah, it's an avoidable play.
And it was a setup as well. Chance for Dave to go 7-5 up.
Even if it wasn't a setup on that play, you could have avoided hitting somebody. Because if not, Martin, that's my new tactic.
Again, Luis winning the rally with a great dig out.
Luis, no.
Is Dave asking the referee something there? Or?
No, I think he's saying that he's got too much pressure on himself from the fans that are watching that are.
Second serve.
I don't want to speculate, but I believe I heard him say, "Dad." That ball was short.
So is that 2 shorts, double fault?
The second one was definitely short. That second one was short, and I think that is a double fault.
8-5. Short.
So the kill shot from Dave gets scratched off that stat sheet because it was a double fault.
Dave's go-to shot, and I think Luis is reading it well. We've seen it 2 or 3 times now. Is if it's not flat, it's always a corner kill. So Luis is reading it and going to the other side in anticipation that it's going to, unless it's flat, it's going to come there.
Well, that's, I believe, what Abraham was saying when he said that Dave needs to get away from that because Luis is playing up front, in the middle of the court up front. If he goes to those sliding pass shots, which he's doing well today, he'd have more success. And when he has gone to those pass shots, we've seen either Luis barely catch up to it or not get there at all. Let's go to Kara, who's courtside. Kara?
Courtside here with Daniel Cordova, the other half. What are you witnessing here in this one that's standing out to you?
Fink's putting it down. He's controlling the rallies a little bit. My brother's more off balance and hitting it hard. Anytime he gets a setup, he puts it down.
Talk about these courts. How are they different than others that you play on?
These are very fast courts. That back glass wall is tough. You have to get used to it, so my brother knows it. Hopefully he can take advantage of it, yeah.
Is that something that can throw you off balance?
Yeah, because you're expecting it somewhere, and sometimes it's not where you normally are, and because the ball's fast and it's all cement, so it takes some getting used to, yeah.
Before this match, your brother shared that Fink's not someone that he was looking forward to playing, that this is a match that he just loves to come out and play. I know you two are close. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that?
They just had a rivalry for a long time. So, and every time that they play, it's just a grueling match. It's always, ups and downs, and someone's in the lead and then the other one takes over. It's never, very rarely ever, someone dominates the whole rally, the whole game. So I know that's why he's kind of not excited about it, and he's a really tough opponent.
We see Dave get emotional out there. Your brother always seems to be one that keeps his cool out on the court. Is that something that he's like in life in general?
Yeah, he doesn't show any emotion. I mean, he's just he's very chill. He's like, I feel like Killian is a little similar too. They just like in the court, they're just, whatever. I don't know.
So not even to you, not even at home. He never you don't let a fight underneath him that he just goes crazy.
I mean, sometimes it's flip switches, but it's very rare.
Thank you, Daniel. Back to you.
Yep, thank you very much. This is an extended equipment timeout. As Dave Fink asked for an equipment change. Referee granted it, and rightly so. Players asked to put new gloves on, new shirt. That's exactly what they're doing here. This is the quarterfinals where the players really want to get into that semifinal, because it's not only about a season that's about points, which is what you guys are trying to do, is see who can get the most points by the end of the season, actually gets a nice little bonus at the end of the season. But it's about it's about the money too. It's the points, the money, and you want to try to stay above. You see a guy like Dave who's ranked 5th. He wants to be in that top 4. He wants to be number 3 or 2. He was, ranked number 1 a couple years ago, right? Number 2 at one point last year for a week or two. Those are
5 serves 8.
Those are plateaus that you're trying to get to. 5 to 8 here in game number 2, I believe is what I heard the ref say.
Right out.
And that's a side out. Crazy shot. Very difficult to pick that one up off the glass as it spins around the back court.
8-5.
It's fairly dark back there. And you heard Luis say in that package that we had earlier where it's hard for him to see back there. Even though he played here, he didn't particularly like playing here on this court because it's so dark. And now that he's left, it's even harder.
Dave, as you said, very aggressive, went for on his second serve, went for a crack on the right, and Luis did well to dig it out.
8-5.
And Dave is getting, Luis is missing some now that he hadn't been earlier in the game. Skipped in a revolving door there.
That's close too. And that's a missed ceiling, and I would think
There's
that
an
Luis would appeal that.
Luis, yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
I called it good. One agrees, one disagrees.
Tough break.
I'm gonna let the call stand.
Well, there was one earlier that was
10-5.
definitely short that went the other direction, so I guess this makes it up.
They balance out.
I guess. Wow, Luis had that right corner, and he decided to go right back down the middle.
I was thinking after my game yesterday, I thought there was one point where potentially it was short, and the game was so tight. I was just wondering, at a crucial stage of maybe a game like this at 10-5, do you think Luis should have even tried come to the video just
Absolutely.
to see?
Yeah. Especially if you really know. I say go to the video no matter what, especially if you really know. If you have a little bit of doubt, maybe not go to video, but if you saw it, then the video's going to see it. I mean, that's my philosophy.
Did you see a slide?
This game is so fast, though, even when you think you saw it, you find out later that it wasn't what you saw.
It's very difficult to tell as well. Is it just after clearing the line or not? Because they're so close.
Felt that good. You want to feel that? Just feeling a slide right there. Both disagree. Or you disagree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Call stands. Didn't see you slide, no.
That's 2 rallies in a row. Dave's been looking for a slide. I don't know. It actually, the camera just missed that back corner. I didn't see what.
Well, all you can see is the player's body English. And when you go for a shot and you stop and then try to hit it again, you know that something happened.
Well, yeah, as you said there, it seemed
10-6.
like it should be a straightforward back wall shot, and he seemed completely wrong-footed.
Right out.
But that was a straight kill again for me, Dave. You know, I think that rally was over with a straight kill down the left. It was a corner kill again, and it came back into the center.
Right, he needs to get away from it.
Let's go.
I think the referee is right here. Let's go. You know, it's 10 seconds, and
10-6.
Well,
6-10.
referee doesn't have to say let's go because
Short.
he can just call the serve. The let's go part is calling the serve.
Second serve.
But he is right.
well, the let's go is kind of giving him, you know, I'm about to call the score.
Nice get right there from Cordova. Flips it back to the front wall. Puts it in a really dangerous spot.
It's quite a good roof shot from Dave that it didn't make the back wall. Great pass.
Right out.
See, those are heavy balls. You run them down.
But you need a lot of power
10-6.
to actually
Yeah.
flip that back.
You get your hand on it. You should be able to get to the front wall, but it's just so heavy. And that's a screen. No
Replay,
call.
replay.
Really late call there. I would say that's more of the avoidable hinder than Luis.
Well, that's what
That
I,
one that Luis
you
gave
know,
Dave earlier.
It
So
was, he
we're
left it
ball
up and he didn't made no effort to get out of the way. Is that not the
10-6.
definition? But the referee.
Well, they don't
isn't-
call avoidables here, so
The referee's not calling them, so.
that's some pretty good hop on that ball right there from Luis. It pops into that right wall and then handcuffs Dave as it
6-10.
jets back out.
Second serve. Short.
Timeout from Dave.
Okay, first timeout, 1 minute. I heard you.
You see the ref and Dave going back and forth. Let's take a quick look at the bracket to identify just a little bit about what road that these guys had to go on in order to get here. As you take a quick look here, David Fink got past one of his biggest foes as of late, Juan Leo Canales out of El Paso / Juarez, Mexico, El Paso, Texas. And then I believe you played Luis Cordova yesterday, or excuse me, our referee played Luis Cordova yesterday. So he knows a little bit about what is going on in the court there, our referee Lauren Collado. I felt like he had a pretty good fight. I don't recall what the score was. I believe it was about 6-10, 15-6, 15-10, something like that.
Well, Lauren's a kind of an unorthodox kind of player. He could go in, depends what way he catches it. He could serve with his left hand, he could serve with his right. He hits some shots that you're not expecting.
Well, you look good in that game number 2 against Luis yesterday. And he scored, I think it's official, yeah, it's 15-10 is what he scored yesterday in the round of 16. Here, though, we're back into game number 2. Luis wins the first one, and now he's making a comeback himself. He was leading all the way here, and then Dave kind of put some afterburners on, and now it's been a lull for the Fink camp.
Short.
Not a lot of scoring, though. A lot of side outs.
Second serve.
I think it's 7-10. Serving is Luis Cordova. We're going to 15.
Thought Dave was actually lining up for one of those shoulder high kills.
No, did not make it. Ten 7.
Kind of a borderline screen as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and because that ball
Wow.
hops so much, it's almost hard for a referee to ever call it because it plays off the back wall, but it
11-7.
definitely to me seemed like a screen.
Great athleticism. That through the legs from Dave and kill off the back. Skid, I thought myself.
Good get.
No call by the referee. Oh,
That's an avoidable.
Has to be. Dave is not going to be happy either way here. I'm actually surprised Dave's actually given out to himself. I was sure we were going to see a chat with our referee there.
That wasn't avoidable. Again,
I think
no
even
call.
before that, what was the one before that? There were 2 calls potentially there.
Might have been one screen and one avoidable, but the avoidable happened first.
I think would a great shot.
Nice shot right
To
there.
give a bit of credit to the referee, though, I think both players seem to know his philosophy on the reffing. He's kind of letting the play go. He's not stopping it for everything that's they're playing through.
Right.
In fairness to both players, I haven't seen either of them really complain. They've looked up for maybe one or two calls, but they've both played just playing hard, and
they sort of adapted to his style. And I would say that Luis.
12-7.
Well, I prefer his style, Dave, to be honest, to some of these referees who try call everything, even though the things didn't even happen, just to make everyone realize they're there.
No, I agree with that. So, I mean, I do like the fact that he's playing a little bit more
free-flowing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more of a real high-level pro style where they don't really want to call hinders. They do know where the ball's going to go, even if they are screened. But there are some really obvious screens here and hinders.
I'm not sure like what it would be in basketball and stuff. I think in the NBA you might get an extra step or two, or there can be a little bit of contact that maybe you wouldn't get away with in other divisions. Or I know in our own sports at home, Gaelic football, similar to soccer, if there's a bit of a tug of the jersey, but you're in on the goal and you have a chance, the referee's going to give you
they don't want to stop
you don't want
that.
the free, so.
Well, that's what I
think the best referees allow that.
I think that's the biggest part of handball that is frustrating. When you have an offensive shot, you've been working for 20 shots to get this one position, and then your opponent will swing by you and just barely touch your foot, and they'll call contact. But you're like, "What? I need this. I need this." You're penalizing me because he made a mistake. But that was a great dive re-kill from Fink, and look at the score here.
But I think he's had all the momentum really from 9-3. I know he didn't win that first, but he seemed to just take control since then.
Dave now 1 point away from forcing a tiebreaker. And he might, I thought he had that crack.
Wow. That was a tough shot.
That's a tennis shot. Beautiful.
There you have it.
Nice comeback there from Dave Fink in game number 2, taking down Luis Cordova after losing the first one.
Well, here again, it's probably, I know the ball's coming so fast, but it's kind of one of those, had it been a straight kill just coming back down there,
Yeah, I think Luis actually thought that he would go down that left wall.
He was going for it, I think.
Well, he did it in the previous rally, so the shot that you said, wow, actually it was during that rally when he went over the top and hit it back down the left wall. You say, well, he's lined his feet up exactly like he did last time, but that gives Dave those options now to swing out and kick it to the right. Exactly what he does, goes over the top, ball stays down, and Dave gets that final point.
But I think to come back to something you mentioned earlier, this is kind of, in a way, nightmare stuff for both players, because whoever wins has about a 2 or 3 hour rest before they play Killian, who's been togged in and eaten, and that's really not what you want.
And now you can see why Killian made those comments about the guy who plays first has the most amount of rest. I mean, because Killian could technically, even though he isn't, he could technically go back to the hotel, have a 2 hour, 3 hour nap, 4 hour nap, and then come back. Not to say that he would do that, but he could do something to alleviate some of the swelling. Or
the other side of that, though, Dave, is he's traveled. In fairness to him, he's traveled to all the tournaments. He's worked hard. He's got to number one. They're the little things that you get, when you're at.
They
number
do
one.
in handball.
Well,
handball's got this sort of twisted mentality that you have to seed a person number one because they won a tournament 12 months ago. That type of stuff doesn't need to happen anymore. You don't need to give somebody.
Here, though.
It isn't, but that's the sort of mentality that goes along with somebody getting the early start time. We have TV to worry about. We also have Kara to worry about. I mean, she's such high maintenance. Where are you at, Kara?
So not true.
I know. I take it back.
I'm here with the tournament director, Lance. This is a great one that you throw in Atlanta every year.
Well, thank you. We appreciate having you guys here and having the pros in town, and it's a great time for everybody.
Yeah, talk about what it means to you to be able to bring the pros here to the Peachtree Open.
I just love supporting the pro handball and having the Cordovas here for a while. Luis left us, but Daniel's still here, but we're trying to round up another one to get back here in town so we can have at least 2 in town. But we love handball here, and it means everything to get these pros out here once a year and show us the best handball in the world.
When you said round up another one, I thought you meant another Cordova. I thought you'd have to wait a few more years so those boys grow up a little bit.
No, I'm working on somebody else. We're going to see if we get somebody else out here. We're close to closing a deal on somebody else coming to town, so I'll let you in on that soon.
What do you always love to see about the energy here that goes on?
Well, I think that there's a lot of, used to have back in the 90s, I think it was 91 when Ron Cook got the Nationals here, and we probably had about 150 players in town at that time, and we at that tournament I think we had almost 300 players come out to the Nationals that year, and it was the year that I think it was the year David Chapman beat Robert Lar, who was my business partner and strong supporter of the tournament in the championship. I think David was 14, and Robert was playing his best handball of his life, and. But ever since then, we had just such a big turnout. We've always really tried to get the pros back here as much as we could, and we've got a lot of guys here in town that help contribute some money to make that happen.
And then these big matches happen, right? This one heading to a tiebreaker. Always exciting to see how they play out.
Yes, Luis is going to get this one.
We've got, your Luis family right here. So thank you so much again for hosting. It's awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, back to you guys.
Yep, thank you. Kara Mack with our tournament host.
Yeah, Lance sticking with his good friend Luis for this tiebreak. I think the person he was referring to there to bring a second pro into town is Max Langmack.
That's interesting. Okay.
So that would be someone for Daniel to spar with.
That'll make Max good. Better.
Okay.
I mean, he's already good, but it would just make him better.
0-0.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. We're going to 15 on this one. You have to win by 2.
Obviously, as a spectator and anyone watching, you love to see a nice close match, but for either player, you kind of nearly want to win 15-1 or 2 here and get out as quick as you can.
Right.
I just can't see that happening.
No. With either of the Cordova brothers.
These rallies are
Replay.
So tough.
Dave's
Now,
not
the
happy.
referee's been allowing that stuff to go through, and then he calls a replay after we just said, hey, he's been calling a pro-style game, and then he lets that go through. But that was clearly different. That was Luis being on one side of the ball, shadowing across the ball.
He did try to get out of the way.
True, but I'm not saying it should be unavoidable. I'm just saying that out of all the times that this referee has allowed that play to happen, this is the one time that Luis was coming across the ball with more motion. The other times, he was just, both players would be in the way. But there was a little bit of movement there.
Great shot.
0-0.
Oh. Sometimes you forget the headset's on. Great athleticism by both players. And Pachot nodding his head here beside me. There's the first ace of the tie break.
1-0.
And there's the second.
2-0.
Fantastic get there by Dave. Looks like he's looking his elbow. Bad bounce on the serve. I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Off the serve, off the front wall. Both agree with my call. 0-2. 1-2. 1-2.
Dave pleading with our referee there to give him an extra few seconds.
He's appealing the
I
serve.
thought that was short, but it's going to be close either way.
Both agree. Together at 2.
Set up here for Luis off the back wall. He's playing with a little bit more zest right now.
Dave's kind of doing what we were saying. He went for 2 straight shots there. He's moved away from that corner kill.
Well, I think it's smart, and I think he's realizing too that
Together
Luis
at
is
2.
overplaying those. Nice. Oh.
Right out.
Great reflexes from Luis.
Together at 2.
It's amazing. You could hear a pin drop in here while that's going on.
Yeah. Interesting.
It worked out.
Well, see, the
Side wall,
difference
front
is,
wall.
well, the difference is Luis is in the back court. Dave goes for those corner kills, it's fine. But when Luis is playing up front, which is what he's been doing, trying to at least keep that center of the court,
I think
those corner kills have to be exactly perfect.
I think the other, absolutely, I agree.
2-2.
But I think the other one with that one was left hand, right
Right.
side wall front where it really dies.
It sticks up front.
Yeah,
Second serve.
very good shot.
That was close
I
for a second serve.
I remember watching a tournament. You might be able to say which
3-2.
one it was. It was in Seattle, I think, watching Sean play. And I had seen him hit crazy shots before, but he seemed to be deliberately doing that from everywhere, just right hand, left side wall, front wall. I'm not sure did he win that tournament or not. It's a good few years ago, but could be.
That was the Showtime in Seattle, I believe. I think Emmett won the tournament by beating Alan Garner in the final, or Sean in the final. But heck, Sean seems to do that at every tournament, so who knows?
Ball.
That's frustrating. You're serving, it could be 4-2. Now you lose the serve.
It's a very tricky shot. You're only a few feet from the front wall and you're trying to kill it.
Yeah, you have to be aggressive, but you have to be very
2-3.
tender at the same time.
Did well to scoop that back.
Right out.
Dave's going for these straight kills now and they're paying off.
That was a good one right there. Took a little off of it too.
3-2.
He does that so well. That's his offhand. So you see him hitting it with his right. He still goes over the top of the ball with his right hand, even though he's a lefty.
Second serve.
Dave breathing heavy, but he's given it everything there. He wasn't even too far away from that one.
2-3.
I thought when he took that first step that he was going to get to it.
Replay that. This ball.
Luis also
Yeah, they're both feeling it.
pulling for air.
This is some tactics from the old days.
Get the referee to dry the ball.
Well, that adds another 10 seconds.
Looks like he needs
2-3.
another 10.
One ball.
Dave has missed by millimeters 2 or 3 times now in the last few minutes.
Yep.
They're the kind of ones you look back on at the end if it's 15-13 or you need those breaks.
Yeah, it's interesting that that ball in the first game that popped up, very similar to that ball right there, where it might technically be making the front wall. It has that little molding. no argument from Dave on this. But Luis knew instantly that his ball was good. And that ball really looked like it was a skip.
Together at 3. Point.
I think he needs to take a timeout or just something, kind of regroup, because it's
4-3.
he's well in the game. It's only 4-3, but he's had 3 or 4 misses now.
That's a great shot there with the right hand off the back wall. Goes 2 inches high. Gets Luis out of the server's box. Fink back in, serving at 3-4.
3-4.
It's kind of commentator's curse, really, isn't it?
I guess, but, you know, this match is just going to continue on. It's going to dredge on.
Set up here.
Nobody's really been scoring in bunches. And Luis does it again. And Fink isn't happy the crowd is clapping for that because he feels it's an insult.
You're going to have to tell me, man. I covered that. I couldn't see it.
Is Dave questioning if it bounced twice? Or
He doesn't think it made the front wall.
Keep going.
I personally thought it made the wall.
You either did or you didn't. Just say it. All right. Let's go. He's appealing whether he got that ball back or not.
The referee's laughing.
Oh, he got it and it hit the wall. So
no, he is appealing that it wasn't 2 bounces on the
No,
get.
I think you can clearly see his hand underneath the ball there.
But Dave's not happy that the referee appeals to his line judges while laughing. Like he's appealing that he got the ball.
Okay.
You know, and so it's condescending.
He's biased.
Yeah,
he's biased. The umpire straight away.
Well, he saw that from the ref.
That was horrible, according to
Well, you see what I'm saying, right? The referee being condescending to the line judges.
He's coming to video here. Short serve. We're going to have to see.
Video replay? Okay, that's right. I gotta come down.
The referee's going to have to come down to do that.
I think he's having a good game, the referee.
It's good in the fact that he's consistently not good. But
well, I think
that right there would be good enough for most people as long as you're consistent, I would say. Referee is going to take a look at. Let's go ahead and take a look here. I can't influence anybody, but that's definitely short by 6 inches. And I'm not that guy, so I'm not going to be the one to do it. It's a ref's call.
He was gone at that
Looks
stage.
like it's short from our angle, but the referee makes that call. It was 6 inches short or so.
I think it's clear there on that one. You can see it's a short ball. It can be difficult sometimes with them from where the referee is because they're hitting reverse on that to try crack it off that wall, and sometimes it actually is behind the line when it connects, and then I didn't hear what
that
Dave
is very
said there.
difficult. It is very, very difficult to see those.
From this angle, it didn't look right.
It's very difficult to see those when they hit the sidewall and come over the crack because you can't tell if it's on the ground or if it's on the wall sometimes. And this floor is really glossy. I'm not making excuses for the ref, trust me.
I think he did well.
But he made the right call, and that's exactly where we're at. But Dave's making an interesting call to the referee saying these line judges have never been correct. He only knows one case of that, and that was the last short call.
But look, let's be honest about it. When you're a lines judge, a lot of the time you're kind of looking at the referee. You're nearly going with what the referee says a lot of the time. I'm saying that not me. I'm saying that's what a lot of them tend to do. You look out and you're like, sometimes you wonder why are they even there, because you're like, they haven't seen it and they know what the referee's called, so they agree with it. And that's why you'll often see one agrees, one disagree. Now, sometimes they genuinely can't see it for whatever angle it came from. But I think sometimes they're chatting to their buddy beside them, and then when the call comes, it's like, oh.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the reality of it. So. Now it seems the momentum has shifted completely in favor of Luis now.
But we've seen this happen before where the opponent takes these leads against Dave and then he finds a way to come back.
I think this is a crucial moment here. I think if Luis gets to 8 or 9, it'll just be a bridge too far. He's going to get that one.
Oh, I'm surprised Dave didn't get back up for that last one. I thought Luis left a little bit toward the center. This is a good play from both players.
What a difficult shot by Luis. I don't know how he actually made that shot. The one before that.
Dave just out of reach of that last shot. Luis almost hit that too far toward the center of the court. Luis now up 8-3 here.
You know, but even for if you actually just break it down, sometimes the way I look at it is in Dave actually has to win 12-6 here, even just to win by 1 point. Do you know what? Or
Yeah.
well, sorry, I know you'll have to win by 2 here technically, but you know it doesn't look like that momentum is with him right now. I just see it's going to be too tough. Probably like the first game where he could battle hard. Whereas if he could get in now and maybe get back to, you know, even 9-5 or 9-6. But I think if this goes to 10 or 11, it'll be out of sight.
9-3.
I don't. Not with Fink. But Luis is playing so sharp right now that you're going to have to find a way to correct that sharpness too. You know, I mean, take some wind out of his sails. I don't see, right now he's just in a different mode.
I thought it at 4-3 that there should have been a timeout from Dave. I know he got that right-hand kill that went in, but he hasn't used them.
I think he got a timeout during
that was short
the referee.
as
The
well. Dave
referee.
has the hand up. Now Luis is going to appeal.
But Dave's in there really quickly. And strange game, isn't it?
Well, this is where it could all change.
You never know.
That's one of those where you appeal your own serve.
Second serve.
Terrible shot from Dave. Luis is going to go straight down a wall. Doesn't. Hits it toward the middle. Dave dives for it.
Look for a slide here.
Tell the slide on the floor. Yeah. One agrees. I'm going to call a replay on that.
Luis is going to ask why if only one agrees. Surely. That has to be the wrong call. No. The referee sees it good and only one line
If
judge.
the referee may have seen something, he can maybe side with the line judge, but I'm surprised here.
I have to say Luis Cordova is just getting on with business here. He's not really asking any questions. He's keeping his focus. And
sometimes you're too tired to argue. I'm not sure what you can really argue there. It's a kind of a judgment call. Line judge, referee, if he was skeptical that he might have saw something look a little strange, you know, the ref's not going to stop play either. Let's see if we can see where that. Let's see where that would have been. It would have been on that shot right there.
no, that was the one you said bad shot. It's coming here now. It did seem to take off.
It did.
And Dave was there, so it could be just chancing his arm.
What was he doing right there?
Sometimes we say chancing his arm, just trying his luck, I suppose.
I guess, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about what Luis was doing, but I guess he was putting on new gloves. This is a quarterfinal match. We have another great one coming up next. I mean, we still have a lot of life in this one, but.
Well, it's kind of at that crucial time right now.
I think everyone's been waiting around to watch that Vic Perez-Daniel Cordova match. I think that one's the one that you have circled on the scorecard. I mean, this one too, certainly. Sean Lenning's going to go up against one of his best friends, Marco Chavez, in the next round, which comes up next after this one concludes.
Oh, it's not. It's that game is before the Cordova Perez.
Lenning versus Chavez.
Coming in. Score is 4-10. Short.
Short.
Second serve.
Great shot. There's 2 quick points from Dave.
Try 10.
That's something I mentioned before the game. That reverse, he hit it there. It worked very well, and he finished it. He hasn't seen. Maybe it's Luis is dealing with it better than Leo was yesterday, but he doesn't. I saw Dave hitting one straight down the middle yesterday, and they were bouncing either way. He hasn't seemed to went to that serve today, even though I thought it was very effective.
Well, he hasn't showcased it today at all. So I wouldn't say that because Luis is able to read it or anything. I don't think it's a confidence shot. You can't, as a lefty, hit a reverse like that at a time like this unless you're feeling comfortable. You know, you don't feel.
Well,
see, that's another one. You have to feel
point.
really comfortable to be able to take that, because if you miss that shot, that ball's going to wrap around, and now you're stuck
7,
either on the left side or the right side, pinned. So you have to hit it perfect. And that was a dangerous shot to take. Dave brings it to 7, could have brought it to 8.
10-7.
I still think Luis would have chased that one down. It was hit from such a height, it was going to check up.
True, but that's going to force Luis to be all the way in the front court to the left and out of position. This is a big setup. Look at that speed. Again, Dave just sliding that ball down the wall. Oh, and then he goes with a natural hook on the left side. That has to mess with you a little bit, Martin. See, this is Dave Fink rolling right here. Now we're at 9-10.
In fairness,
But I know that you already wrote this one off for Luis earlier.
8-10.
well, no, I think I said at 9-3 he needs to. This is the crucial stage. He needs to get back in right now. I thought if Luis got to 11 or 12-3, it would have been over, which didn't happen.
That was a great shot right there from Luis. I think it's 10-9. But I'm been overruled.
Your gloves are fine. I think you're fine.
Love it.
10-8.
10-8 is the score, and I am wrong.
How about that call from the referee? I mean,
I like it. Ooh, they're going to replay that.
in fairness, I have to say I would.
Yeah.
I think
No,
Luis.
he's not. He
I
came
don't
off
think
the
he
wall.
was. I
That's a tough
possibly
one.
couldn't see it.
I think he would have left
Dive.
his feet if he was able to see it.
A good call.
Boy, that's tough
10-8.
when you're in the court, though, because it doesn't seem like
Seemed like it had gone by him.
right. And it's also not happening in slow motion.
I know some guys at home that would say mustn't have been when that just happens.
Yeah, the guys from
8-10.
where I grew up would have just taken your legs out.
No, you know, I mean, like when Dave wins that rally, just the way he did afterwards, mustn't have been.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the way it should have been to begin with. But then Luis comes back and hits that right corner kill. Beautiful right corner.
10-8.
Mouse from Cordova gets right back into the box. First service short.
Second serve.
Fireworks. The fireworks show hasn't ended yet. I have a feeling, Martin.
There's a great chance. Dave recovered well there. This is going to come around.
Boy, Luis almost missed that.
Oh, the ball bursts.
That's the first broken ball they've had in 3 games.
Timeout.
Kind of surprised by that.
1 minute. Luis.
And a timeout's being called here on that broken ball as they going to replace it and start over again.
I think it could even be a shirt change.
Well, I heard the referee say timeout, and then he said Luis, but he very well could be saying Luis because he wanted Luis to get the ball that he was dropping. So somebody called a timeout, and I think it was Dave Fink. It's a tiebreaker here in the men's quarterfinals, World Players of Handball, as we give you the live broadcast on ESPN3, the Watch ESPN app. This is our first ESPN stop of the new season, Race for 8, season number 9.
So
It's brought to you by patreon.com.
what's the schedule leading up to December now for anyone listening? What's the next stops? Or?
Well, we have Tucson coming up, October 30th through November 4th. You'll be there.
Yes. But then there's also some pre-qualifiers or light events for people who
Portland has one coming up. Yeah, there's some things going on at WPHlive.tv. You can get the full schedule there.
Yeah, I think it's impressive this year. There seems to be a lot of tournaments on that people can go to build up some points. And
Right. A little bit different than previous years.
So the difference between the pre-qualifier and the light events.
The difference would be that there's fewer points and fewer amounts of cash to win at the very end. But they're open formats, so anybody can play. It's a little different than here. You don't have to qualify at some of these light events. So, but you're talking about the pre-qualifier. They're both open events, so you can enter a pre-qualifier, and if you actually win that and there's somebody that's ranked in the tournament in the top 25, you will automatically come into any qualifier of your choice. So if you would have picked Atlanta, like Niall O'Connor did, he won in Pittsburgh, that means he didn't have to go through this big long draw and sit here and have to play anybody. He was automatically inserted into the round of 16, which meant he was guaranteed money. He didn't have to go through the qualifier earlier that day. You know how taxing that can be. You can play 2 rounds and then you have to play a third one on Friday. That's a lot of ball. And that ball skid on the ground right there.
Good.
That slid on the floor.
Slide. Did you see a slide? Yeah, both agree. Both disagree. They saw a slide. Both saw a slide. Huh?
Technically, Dave, are they allowed to appeal a slide like that to the lines judges?
No?
Well, that was the big question before this, and yes.
They both saw a slide on the serve.
Well, we saw it here too. It is the correct call. I'm just wondering, technically speaking, if it was an obvious one, I thought.
It seemed like it was obvious. But Luis is claiming it was just a new ball that did it. And that very well could be the case as well, because then Dave threw the ball, which is his way of seeing if that ball is slick.
The other thing I would say is when the ball is fresh out of the tin, so the ball has just been broken, it needs to be hit for probably at least 1 or 2 minutes. You know, I'd want to hit 20 or 30 times because it can slide.
Replay.
Dave knew that was going to be.
I assume it's just a play over.
Well, yeah. I mean, Dave dove for the ball, and Luis.
He didn't get up. He just stayed where he was.
The play is correct. See, Dave's trying to get out of the way. He knew that Luis is going to collide with him, and that's why he said sorry before Luis even got there. But these guys are really laying it all out here right now. Meanwhile, Killian's just sitting back, eating some food and just browsing Instagram.
Well, I think it's incredible, you know, and we'd need the nutritionists and stuff to come on here and fill us in, but out of interest sake, I was wearing those watches recently, you know, the ones that tell you how many steps you've done, how many calories, and I just said I would have a look. And they could be wrong, right? Assume they're even out by 100 or 2 calories.
Right.
But like, I was doing gym sessions, I would consider them fairly intense, maybe for an hour and a half, and it would be maybe 700, 800 calories.
910.
Okay.
Hold on.
And I would have deemed it a fairly
910.
tough session. Of course, if you're rests and you're trying to lift big and things like that, or that's all relative, I suppose. But, and I was playing 60 by 30 as well, which is probably more of an endurance game, and maybe in the same length of time would burn something similar, you know, maybe a bit more in an hour and a half, maybe at 800 to 1,000 as well. But when I went back into the 4-wall, the 40 by 20 here, as we call it in Ireland, that you're looking at on the screen, I was burning 700, 800 in 1 hour. So even if it's wrong, the other ones are still wrong. Even if it wasn't 700, do you know what I mean? Even if it was 500 or even if it's 1,000, it's still so much in 50 minutes or an hour. And to actually, where I'm coming at is to get that energy back in the system and be right to play another game in a semi-final later on. It's going to be tough here. It's like these guys are playing for how long now?
Yeah, nearly impossible. And yet these guys do it consistently at these stops. And it's not healthy. It's actually not healthy.
Well, I don't think so, but we're all doing it.
Look at that shot right there.
It would probably be fine if you didn't have to play again till tomorrow. But to actually have to turn around and play something that extreme again later today is... I think handball is...
Because we're at an hour and a half here. These are 15-point games, and we're at an hour and a half.
These guys have burned over 1,000 calories, just on my estimation, roughly speaking.
Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? Another great shot from Dave, now tying it at 10.
Sorry, man. Try to look for those ones.
That was an amazing. This has been 4 great shots from Dave
Together at 10.
in the last 3-4 rallies.
I think anyone watching is definitely getting value for money here.
Terrible bounce in the back wall. Those are the worst. Hits the ground and the ball.
You're not sure if it's
Shoots
just going
out.
to clip that sidewall and give you a setup on your left, or
Right.
shoot straight down the wall like that did.
Together at 10.
Well, now anything can happen. Luis is still favored
Second serve.
to win this because he's serving, but that's the only reason.
And the way I would look at this game now, it's a game to 5. You know, it's really irrelevant that it's 10-10. It's
Wow. Great shot.
fantastic shot.
Mark.
Crowd likes it too. That was a stiletto left to front kill. Or as Dave Fink calls it, the San
11-10.
Antonio spoiler.
Here's a chance. Fantastic shots. They're as you said, they're leaving it all out there.
Unbelievable, really. Watch this shot from Dave. And it just
beautiful
feathers
with-
away.
Yeah, beautiful with the left. A little bit of natural, just
Yep.
guiding it away to the sidewall.
The ball fades out to the right. Dave back into the server's box. Luis up 11-10. Dave serving here, though. Going to 15, and you have to win by 2, so don't forget about that. This very well could be an overtime type match where we see more than 15 points scored.
What's the highest you've seen the overtime go to? Maybe a 19,
I think it
17?
was,
Or
that's sort of like the highest that's happened a few times, and I
I think we might have saw a slide there again, not called.
Saw a bad bounce.
Dave wanted that because it was a huge setup off the back wall. You know, these
I
bad
think it was
bounces,
a
these
slide
slides.
anyway.
Why is it that the bad bounces, the slides, and the broken balls come on the
10-11.
shots that you feel most comfortable hitting?
That-
That slid definitely.
Slide.
I don't
Check
know
the ball,
where
guys.
this.
Well, I think it's Dave.
It's
like
the courts,
they're
right?
Absolutely. Like, we have great. The fans, aircon, everything's on. I think it's just 2 guys have spent an hour and a half, and they're absolutely
10-11.
diving all over the place, exhausting themselves. You're going to have a bit of that.
Nice shot, dug out from Luis. Dave puts it in a perfect spot. Luis gets it down. Dave dives for that, misses the front wall. And I don't know how Luis wins that rally, but he does. And the crowd puts their hands together. There's no way Luis should be winning this rally. I didn't think Dave had to
He
dive
did-
for that, but
He deserves a lot of credit, though, for those. He is working very hard. He's given himself every opportunity. I know, as you say, maybe he shouldn't have won that rally, but that's what makes the difference in the end. Them ones where the ones you shouldn't have won, you're still winning them.
you know, Dave pushed Luis to the left, then to the right, and then back to the left again. And you think, you know, all that back and forth is going to pay its price. But
11-10.
Luis ends up getting it, and he's back in the box here. Goes for the crack serve, misses it. Referee calls short. It was the correct call.
It's going to be real tough for either player to be on the losing side of this.
Yeah. Sometimes you're too exhausted to be upset.
Right out.
And there's a side out.
Shoulder high, straight left kill.
It's a
I don't
strange
think
looking
that-
shot. I don't know how you could even try to
10-11.
emulate that. Oof.
There's that reverse.
That ball's going to wrap around.
Dave putting everything back onto Luis's left.
Well, when Dave sets his feet, when he puts power into it, especially his pass shots, they're almost ungettable. How does he get his hand under that?
I'm going to replay it.
Oh.
I'm going to replay that. Oh. Thank you.
You know, it's tough to replay a ball that
Yeah,
you're
it was a hinder.
that the opponent is using a backhand with his offhand.
I think he would have got it. I think he went with the backhand because Dave was in the way and he couldn't dive. You disagree?
Yeah, it's tough.
I think he tried to turn his body just so they
Well,
wouldn't
let's see
collide.
what this looks like. You know, slow motion doesn't always give you everything, but I think he feared contact, maybe, and so
I
he
think
used
he
an
turned.
offhand.
His serve is
See, that's
10-11.
not What's the replay there? What are you replaying for?
He had full view of the ball.
Are you replaying because you think it's going to be
He was on
contact?
the right side of you.
Yeah,
You
I
were in
think
the way a little bit.
actually on second view of it, I think Dave is right. You know,
Yeah, that's
It's
You
a
were
tough-
in front
it's
of
a
the
tough
ball,
break,
He didn't
but-
want to run into you.
See,
Well,
so
this
that's
is-
what he's
this
saying
is-
there.
Yeah, that's what I.
The replay is a safety hold,
Yeah.
not a replay, but a safety hold.
Nope. You had it.
The other side of it is people would
You have to play
say,
fair.
had Luis hit the wall and it just shot down the right, he would have took it. You know, it's
It's
gladly.
10-11.
That was a tough one to call. See the ref.
It's kind of a no-win situation. If he didn't call it, Luis is going to go crazy.
I don't know if he would have.
Well,
I
probably
haven't
not,
seen
'cause it's
Luis.
him.
Yeah, Luis hasn't.
Right out.
Boy, that's another weird one.
But you could argue it should be 11 all here.
Yeah.
So he got a bit of an issue with his calf or heel.
Go.
Well, I've seen Luis
All right.
do this before. He's going to call something
Timeout.
here. He hurt himself.
Need an injury? Yeah? Give you
Well,
30
this
seconds.
is kind of a veteran. I don't know what you call this because he hasn't made any call yet, and he's got 30 seconds anyway.
Well, the ref needs to know what the delay is. If you're not
Well,
going to take an injury, you need to call
He hasn't
timeout.
answered him, so I don't know. I think he has asked him, what is this? But
It's 11-10.
I can see Luis coming in here with like Superman cape on now. Wow, that ball looked like it had a little slide to it as well.
ooh, playing close there.
Wow. Dave got the better
I think
of that rally.
we must be playing 5, 6, 7 minutes here, 1 point.
Yeah, because you said it was a game to 5. And
10-11.
that was about 12:30 Eastern time when you said that. 7 minutes and 1 point. Ball hit Dave on the way up. Going to be replayed.
See,
This is- you
this
know-
where I get a little bit aggrieved, where sometimes you watch this broadcast, or
10-11.
I've been in games myself where you would argue he backed back into that revolving door.
Right. That's one of my
So-
worst favorite things. And now we're tied at 11.
I would argue, where do you want him to go anyway? I mean,
Well,
it's
how about
just-
not
They're at 11.
backwards? How about
well,
not
if he
into the
stayed where
shot?
he was, it was probably still going to hit him, but
Well, at least you're not taking
That's-
away everything.
Ground ball.
That's not much different than the one that Luis got in the first game. Not really.
he can't believe it. Either can I.
Together at 11.
He's getting no luck here.
He's missing those so close, especially here in game 2.
Point.
And that's the signature shot from Luis Cordova.
It's a tough break, isn't it? Because
12-11.
it should have been probably, or it could have been 12-11 the other way.
Yeah. And serving.
Yeah.
Second serve.
That's an avoidable.
Ooh.
That has to be an avoidable. How do you not call that an avoidable? You're taking a clear, clean shot off the back wall, and your opponent's got his back turned to you. Look at this.
Oh, he did it.
Look.
Yeah, it's clear.
And he's rotating into the play. That is a clear-cut avoidable hinder right there.
Yeah, I think Dave knows what you're saying here.
Short line.
Really?
It's
He
like
can't see
telepathy,
me.
I think. But well, he's watched and played a lot of handball. Obviously, I think he's right again.
Sorry.
But
Pretty wet.
he's got a lot of tough breaks here. He's
12-11.
got that one with the backhand, that missed kill, that one.
This could be a point for Luis, and that I thought was a
13-11.
Luis is taking the opportunities though.
Ground ball.
And there's another miss. Now 14. Here's match point.
Match
And it only
point
took
11.
8 minutes to get 1 point, and now
Here,
1
here
minute
it
to
is,
get
I think.
3.
Gonna shoot again.
This could be tough.
Chance.
Oh, and there it is. Luis takes down game number 3 and advances to the semifinals. Fink gives Luis a handshake, and then he yells at himself. Comes off the court, gives his wife a hug, and then is instantly pulled over to Kara. who's going to get him courtside, and Dave now punching the chair like Bobby Knight. Let's see what Kara has to say with Lucho. Kara.
I love that move, going over to your wife first thing, giving her a hug.
Yeah, she's always my biggest fan, so yeah, she's the first one I think about when I win.
That was a long one, an hour and 45 minutes or so. What were you telling yourself in your head the most during that match?
Just don't let him get on runs, you know. Both games he got on runs. I got on a big run at the beginning in the first game and in the third game. In both games he came back, so that was what was on my mind. Just every time he starts doing that to me, I kind of slow down, and he steps it up. So mentally, I don't know why that happens to me. So both myself and Daniel were like, remember, when that happens, go hard. So that's what I was trying. He still scored a lot, but at least I was able to stop him.
Even in that tiebreaker there, he slowly creeps back up. You guys are stuck there at 11, 12 for so long. What broke through for you?
I don't know. I don't know. I started serving. I was serving real well at the beginning of the game, so I went way up. And then I couldn't find my serve. And then it seems like in the last 5 points or so, I found it again. So I think that was the main difference, my serve.
That ball into the back maybe did it to you.
Yeah, that was a little painful.
Well, congratulations. Good luck in the semis. Get some rest.
Thanks.
Yeah, back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Kara. That ball in the back actually was painful for Dave Fink because it was an avoidable hinder that wasn't called.
Well, it was painful for Dave anyway. You know, I think, as I said, it was a game to 5 at the end. You need the rub of the green, if you want to put it that way. And I think definitely the calls and the kills went Luis's way. You know, Dave had 2 or 3 splits there in that last 5 points. Probably an avoidable call. Also, that backhand where Dave probably should have been 11-10 up.
Yeah.
And he got the play over. So now I thought it
No,
was
not
a play
11-10.
over.
It would have been 12-11, and he would have been serving. And
So they're the breaks you need, you know, and sometimes they go for you, sometimes they don't. I know that's kind of the most
well, it seemed to be pretty
infuriating
even.
thing you could ever hear after you've lost. But
It was even.
it happens as all.
It was even. There was some things that happened in the first game that went against Fink, and then they kind of, in the game number 2, they kind of went for him. But there at the end, there were like 3 calls for Luis. But nonetheless, Luis advances to the semifinals, and he will now face, Luis Cordova, that is, will face Killian Carroll. But here we have Marco Chavez and Sean Linning getting ready for their match, and we're going to take a break. That's just what we do. For Kara Mack, Chris Garad, Shane Lowenstein, Kara, we already said Kara, right? We always give Kara two nods because she does such a great job. I feel like we have, Linda Manning, who's the hardest working person in show business. I want to thank her for her help as well. My name is Dave Vincent. We'll be back. We'll have more continued coverage of this Race for 8 stop in Atlanta, Georgia, next here on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app. Stick with us.